On today's episode of Film Sandwich, we're gonna film another episode of Film Sandwich on the Sony FX9 Raw setup. We have all the components there to make it happen, but is it really worth the $2,500 back and the price of this monitor so you can have Raw? We're gonna find out. We just got done shooting Raw in the studio for an episode, and now we're out at beautiful Bayside Park to compare the internal recording XAVC codec to, of course, the external recording in Raw, and to see if it's really worth all this extra expense and weight on the camera to get the Raw in what we do every day. We got a great scene set up here. We got a nice boat. We got a really hot highlight on the side of the boat. We got some deep shadow and a little bit of reflection of the water on the boat itself. We got some people walking in and out of frame, which is great. This will really exercise the S-Log a lot. And I'm pretty impressed because right now the S-Log, we're holding all of it. Now the sun's coming out real strong. You can see it. And this is internal in the camera right now, what I'm talking to. So now, let's go ahead and set up the other one. Yeah, well, this is a great Raw because we got a lot of white on the boats and the blue sky. And see if we can push the blue, push the white. That'll be nice. And then I think I want a nice blue sky, blue waters. We'll do one more over there looking that way. Well, I can tell you one thing, the FX9 rigged out for Raw, it's kind of heavy. It's kind of ready for a camera assistant. Ron? Okay, we're back at the studio, and we got a couple of great Raw clips to take a look at. We shot the Raw on the Atomos Shogun, and we're gonna compare that to the internal S-Log XAVC codec, and kind of see what it's all about. Let's get started. All right, so first off, let's just kind of look at these two clips here. So as you can see over here, great contrast. We have the shadow here, we have deep shadow here, we have the boat highlight here, we have a light, and we have a lot of color in the cyan here and the blue. For this first clip you're looking at is the Raw, and a lot of times people forget when you shoot Raw, there's a little tab that comes up right here. You need to click on it. There'll be a tab that comes up under the sequence and source, and then if you hit this one more time, this is the source, which is source right here. I'll show you with this clip, or this clip, this clip. And then we pull this back this way. So effects control, so it's under effects control, right? So it's not the top tabs, right? But in this one right here, you need to go ahead and click the source right here. And then over here it says color space. And right here it says BT709. Well, that's not what we shot. We shot S-Log. And of course, there it is, S-Log for your gamut. And then you'll get your S-Log. So that's where you want to start. A lot of times you'll bring it in at 709 and it just doesn't work out because it will look overexposed. It just doesn't look right. Well, this is where you're gonna fix that. Source next to sequence here under the effects control tab. All right, just wanna get that out of the way. Now back to this clip here. So this is the Raw. I like saturated. We live in Florida. People love the saturated look, especially real estate. So I'm gonna just kind of blow this up to 100% here, right? And then I want you to take a little, pay attention right here on this color here and the sky, because I've already pushed the sky a lot. So what I'm gonna do, oh, by the way, I'm using Colorista as my color effect just because it's a great program. I just get done with color correction faster with Colorista than I do with Lumetri, or yeah, Lumetri color. That's just my personal opinion. So let me turn this off for a second and you can kind of see kind of where we're at here. You kind of see how I'm pushing the colors around, just off like that. So let's go ahead and turn that back on, turn that back on. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, and Magic Bullet has a great effect. You can see that I got these different color dots here in this wheel, and this is the saturation, this is the brightness. And honestly, this is really far outside what I usually correct on RAW, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So this is the RAW, and you can tell that this is where we started from, right? So this is kind of where the start is. So these little guys kind of live on the outside, and there's a little, and you can kind of see it kind of live right there. So that's kind of like the start. And well, you know what? I don't want my sky saturated in S-Log. So that's why I was like, you know what? Let's just saturate it. Ooh. So I'll just pull that, and then lighter, darker. You know, that's the light. Well, a little bit darker, maybe a little bit. And I can do a lot. So I think, you know, the RAW is pretty interesting just for the fact that you can push the colors around. And to me, it looks more like a window, like the overall, if you look at this at, let's say, I'll fit it to screen here. It just looks like a window out. And that's what I'm seeing compared to a few years ago, how crazy cameras get. And if you look at this one, and then note to self, the 4K was a poor man's 4K at UHD and not DCI. So the RAW records at DCI, and then we'll put graphics up about the dimensions of DCI versus UHD. But for overall, you can tell the difference. And then this color, so you can see the fringing happening, and it just doesn't look as just clear. And of course, let me get the color here, than that. And then if you look at another clip here, which I really like a lot, is this RAW clip with the blue. So you can see in this right here, there's absolutely no banding. There's like nothing happening. And when you have this RAW clip here, and I clip on it here, and it just, the amount of like complete control you have to really mess with the sky and get different colors and palette. And you'll notice there's absolutely no breaking around the fine lines of the palm. So the big question becomes, after you look at some of these and clips, and then the colors here too, like this one's not graded yet, so this is kind of how it comes out of the park here, so to speak. I mean, out of the park. Rewind. This is how it kind of comes out of the old camera here. And then you start doing a grade. And you can see the color, the lumetri scopes here. And by no means am I an expert colorist, but you know, I just start with the old colorista. I'll drag that sucker up, come over here, make sure it's you know, video. I'll change it to log, come here, and then, you know, simple, really simple. Just highlights go to 100, right? And then I'll just bring the shadows down, kind of like there, and then midtones. And now, and sometimes that's all I do, you know, when I'm shooting S-Log. And now it just happens to be that this is RAW. Now I'll give it a little saturation bump right here. Well, as you can see, RAW is better than the internal codec, but you know, of course we all knew that. But the real question becomes, is it worth it? And I'm kind of thinking about that myself right now. You have to invest in the RAW back, which is around $2,500, and then a Shogun monitor, probably around $900 to $1,200. So what you really have to ask yourself, is it worth it? And seeing the footage, here's what I would say. If you're somebody who wants to go in your footage and push the colors around and really give it that final pass before you export it out, well, the RAW is going to be the best bet for you. It's a little bit cumbersome in the field, it's heavier, it weighs the camera down. But if you're doing corporate gigs and you're able to pretty much dial in the look in camera as you shoot, you're not going to miss it. I think you go in and out, and surprisingly, the internal codec holds up pretty well. But you're not going to be bringing back skies, you're not going to be bringing back the blues or the greens the way you can in RAW. And that's really the trade-off, right? So it's kind of up to you. Don't take my word for it. We are going to provide these video clips to you as links in the description below. Go ahead and download them and tell us what your thought is. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share this if you think it might help another shooter.